So, first of all, thank you very much for stopping. Excuse my hoodie. It's cold. Okay, it's quite cold, but I'm very lucky as well because I'm in a place where being black and wearing a hoodie doesn't put me in danger. Okay, so I don't have to fear anything. Policemen jumping, put your hands on the ground. Da, 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 you got a gun. Yeah, yeah. No, not yet, man. We love you in America, but we're not coming. Sorry. No, we're not coming. America's beautiful. It's a lovely country. Everything is big in America. If you've never been, maybe Americans don't understand what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, but everything in America is big. Big. It's big. Big doesn't necessarily mean better, though. Sometimes you need to go try organic bananas. If you have those before, very interesting. Organic maize, organic corn. Thank you very much for stopping by. You very appreciate it. We see you from all over the place: Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Namibia, Malawi, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, United States of America, UK, Saint Kitty, you name it. Suriname, I see you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something very interesting. For you to give a rational advice or a rational take on a situation, you need to see both sides. Okay, you cannot just lean toward the side that sounds good to you, because naturally that's what we do. When you hear two sides of the story, you tend to lean toward what feels more natural to you or easier to adapt to. But is that necessarily the right way to go? Sometimes you need to look at the other side and see other people's point of view and try to understand where they come from. And perhaps while doing so, finding justification for they did, if not understanding. Okay, Burkina Faso government of Ibrahim Traoré, that we all like and applaud, have been criticized and accused by many organs of unaliving civilians. And that is definitely not a very good report. I'm going to read and tell you what I'm reading. This is not my opinion, okay? I'm reading what these reports say, and we're going to hear the other side and try to compare. There has been credible reports of Burkina Faso's military force unaliving civilians, particularly from the Fulani ethnic group, in what are described as reprisal attacks against communities suspected of supporting Islamist militants. How is this possible? This is possible because Fulani people, in most cases, are Muslims. And it would be very easy to assimilate a Muslim to an Islamist person. Let's continue. February 2024, in a village of Nordin and Soro in Yatega province, government soldiers unalive approximately 223 civilians, including 56 children. These unaliving were allegedly a retaliation for perceived support of jihadists. Survivors reported that soldiers rounded up residents, separated them by gender, and opened fire. So these are reports. Obviously, we cannot verify this. They say it's verified. Is it true? We don't know. Is it a lie? We don't know. We can just use our brains and try to put two and twos together and judge. Now, more recently, in 2025, Burkina Faso of Ibrahim Traoré has been accused again by Human Rights Watch. They reported that 100 civilians were unalived near Solenzo by Burkinabe Special Forces, an allied militia known as Volunteer of the Defense. So these Volunteer of the Defense are basically just civilians, that have had enough of terrorism. So they say, we're not going to be waiting for the military to save us every time. We're not going to do that, because when these militants come into the villages and unalive people, we need to be combat ready as civilians. We need to be equipped. So they went to government, and government gave them weapons and training. And these are civilians. They're not soldiers. They protect their villages. That's at least what they're supposed to do. Now, the accusation is they're accusing a special force of Burkina Faso and these civilians of unaliving Fulani groups. This is the Fulani. Look at this person. This is what Fulani group looks like. Why? Because Fulani group have been accused of collaborating with jihadist groups. People are saying they're unaliving civilians and children. Okay? Nobody wants to hear children being unalive. Let's watch what this guy has to say.
Do you see those young people there with Kalashnikovs? The day they get killed by the army of Burkina, Niger, or Mali. The people who sent them, who armed them, who gave them weapons, will take the images and send them to Western propaganda media to say that such and such army is killing children.
Oh, so This man, his account has not been verified. Says these kids, you can see the pictures, okay? Picture has not been verified by independent resources. We're going through what we have right here because even the report by BBC was verified by BBC, okay? So let's take the acts and the acts and trying to compare. He says these kids here, they look under 18. These are kids approximately 12, 13, 14 years old with AK-47s. If you can zoom on the pictures. He's saying if these kids were unalived by either Burkina Faso, Niger, or Mali, they will take the pictures of their bodies saying, look, our government are unaliving children. Does that even make sense? Let's continue.
And let me tell you something. The moment you become a terrorist, you are no longer a child. You no longer have an ethnicity. The moment you become a terrorist, you are no longer Sarah, no longer Wolof, no longer Diola, no longer Pure, no longer Moor, no longer Bambara, no longer Mossi. You are not terrorist.
In other words, he's trying to say there's no use presenting it as an ethnic attack against Fulani people, because he says that from the time you hold a gun against your people, you lose your tribal belonging or appartenance. You're not Fulani anymore. You're not Bambara anymore. You're not Musi anymore. You are a terrorist. So it doesn't matter where you come from. If you hold a gun against the people with the goals of unaliving them, you are a terrorist. You're in danger. You're not a child. You're not a Musi or Bambara. You're nothing. You're just a terrorist. Do you agree to that?
You are an enemy. For example, you. Imagine you are a soldier and you come across one of those 3 or 4 kids there. Either you eliminate them or they eliminate you. Because in reality, it's not their age that matters, but rather their weapon. And I think that in this case, awareness should be very much raised in a way that asks one, why are they using children for terrorism today? They have fought against child soldiers for a long time, but now this is worse, or maybe it's the same as child soldiers. But since the media that should be exposing this are on the side of those people, they won't talk about it. They're just waiting for these kids to be killed so they can use their images and their corpses as propaganda tools. But let me tell you something. It's about raising awareness to help African youth find a way out. What kind of future awaits these young people, a young person at that age who has taken up arms against their own country? What kind of future? At a time when young people in other countries or other parts of the world are competing to get into university, to receive good training, to land great jobs, whether in aeronautics, mechanics, or medicine. And yet here they are out in the bush playing with Kalashnikovs. Can you imagine these people living to 45 under such conditions? So the first people who are destroyed are these young men themselves. Before they even attack soldiers, before they kill or injure anyone, they themselves are the first victims without even realizing it. And all this is because of what? Because of the ignorance of the parents and because of the ignorance of those who allow their brothers and sisters to join such movements.
Okay, so what we need to retain here is very, very important. They're talking about Fulani people, the unaliving, because the report here, for instance, said 223 civilians. This was done by Voice of America and BBC, and 56 children from Soro Northern. These are Muslim people. Now, why would people think they could be associated with them? Because there has been report in the past where they found a large number of Fulanis being involved in activities of that sort. Even in Nigeria, when you hear about bandits, unaliving Christians in the north, in most cases, you will get Fulani people. So there is a belief around that line. Does it necessarily mean because it's Fulani people, they are necessarily terrorists? Not necessarily. You could be Fulani and not be terrorist. Does the fact that you are Fulani fuel the possibility of thinking that you could probably be a terrorist? It is a possibility. Why? Because some bad ones have done bad things in the past and makes everybody look bad. Now, the other question is this one. If you found children carrying AK-47 looking to unalive you and you have bigger guns, what do you do in that situation? You are a family member, you have a wife who's pregnant and children, and a father who is sick. What would you do in that situation when you're faced with children who hold Can't. Are they still children? Question mark. Is it the responsibility of their families to prevent these things from happening? Probably. Now, do these children have legitimate reason to raise their guns against the government? Question mark. Now, beyond the reason, does the Constitution allow you to do that? Well, if the Constitution doesn't allow you to do that, you are the enemy of the country. Burkina Faso suspended BBC and Voice of America in April 2024 due to a coverage of Human Rights Watch, a report alleging that the Burkina military had unalived at least 223 civilians, including 46 children. The question remains, again, this picture has not been independently verified. But if you, by any chance, had to find yourself in front of a child who's holding an AK-47 in front of you, how do you react in that situation? Does this action make Ibrahim Traoré an evil person who's just pretending to be nice? Or does he have a legitimate reason to act in that sort if he had acted in that sort? Because the bottom line is, the government say this is propaganda. Whatever they're telling the people, it's not the truth. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.